Hi, I'm Jason Douglas with the Delta Waterfowl Foundation, and today I'm with Mr. Bryan Harlan with Harlan Hunts, who's notably one of the greatest hunter conservationists on the planet. And we're going to be talking about markhor conservation in Pakistan and the success of these animals due to the North American model of wildlife conservation and sustainable hunting. So Bryan, could you give us a little background on your experience and how you got involved in hunting and conservation?
Well, thanks for having me on stage to share the story. My story started back in 2010 from a lottery, actually, $100. I bought 5 lottery tickets and I won a sheep tag, and then a buddy of mine that was a big sheep hunter encouraged me to look into a Grand Slam, and I was like, what is that? And, what is a Grand Slam of sheep? So I learned real quickly what a Grand Slam of sheep was, and then I learned what capra were and what goats were, and so that's when I started learning about the markhors and the community-based hunting that made the markhor so successful. And I don't think many people really understand what the community-based hunting model has done for animals in Asia. I think we've seen a little bit of it in Africa, but nothing like what we've seen in Asia. So in short, that's how I got into it, was a raffle.
Awesome. And so how many times have you been to Central Asia, South Asian areas, the stands, hunting for different goats and sheep?
Well, so that started in 2010. So I've been hunting 4 to 6 months out of the year since 2010. I've hunted over 74 mountain animals. And so the goal is to get to 40 sheep and 40 goats. And so the amount of countries that I've been to is really what you're asking, and over 50 countries.
That's incredible. And so you have firsthand seen this community-based conservation or hunting for the markhor yourself. And will you explain exactly what this community-based conservation program is in Pakistan?
So I've learned a lot. I've been to Pakistan 5 times now. Just got back. I shot the Skardu markhor, which these hunting clubs have done a great job of promoting different species and subspecies. And so this is Grand Slam Club Ovis has come out with a new subspecies called a Skardu, which is really a hybrid between an Astor and a Cashmere. So anyway, that's the last time that I was there. And there's actually 6 different markhor that you can hunt. And I've hunted 5 of the 6. And what were you asking me specifically?
The community-based conservation.
Okay, yes. Why that's successful.
Where the money goes back into the community.
So I've seen, on those hunts at Pakistan and then also in Tajikistan where you hunt markhor, what's happening is these older guys, when in the villages, when you could not hunt these animals, they were hunting them anyway, and they were finding a wealthy guy to come down there and pay them to hunt this animal, and they were doing it illegally to pay for like medical expenses, things for the village, right? Because these people were just trying to live. So they were trying to figure out ways to really get revenue for their areas. And so now that there are plenty of markhors around, they've got a community-based conservation hunting program, and that is when a hunter like myself comes together with a community with a common understanding of managing the game conservation. And so what that means is that they will say, okay, they'll look at the population in this area, and CITES does all the research, which all of the countries in the or around the world subscribe to. And so they'll say, all right, you can have 3 permits. And so this village, if they're in that area and they get to market one of those permits, they get 80% of that revenue for that village. Now, we're talking 6-figure numbers, right? So that could be 80,000, 100,000, a lot of money. And so I've seen firsthand after harvesting an animal in their village how excited they are, because you give a speech and they have a celebration. I mean, they're excited because it's Christmas. They're going to get something from their school that's going to be new, something in their clinic. I mean, that whole village just hit a lottery ticket.
Right. And so even outside of the permits, a lot of money goes back in the community from employment and money you're spending to do the entire hunt. In 2019, you held the record for the largest amount spent on a permit for an Astor markhor in Pakistan for $110,000. And so when you went there, how much more did it cost, or how much more money went into the community outside of that actual permit cost?
Well, so you've got your flight there, you've got where you're staying, the food you're buying, the taxes on all that, the people that you're paying there to help you, the tips that you're giving them. The impact's huge. Like if you're going to look at the whole gross domestic product from hunting in, say, Pakistan, it's a big number.
Right. They could buy a lot of domestic goats to eat versus trying to poach off one of the fewer remaining Astor
And that's
markhors.
what they did historically. They were hungry, and so they would shoot these ibex or these sheep or whatever for food. And the community-based hunting program, what it does is it puts a price tag on those animals. So now that animal might be worth $60,000, might be worth $30,000. And so if you live in that village, you're going to protect that animal. And a lot of these people are poachers, right? I mean, they're like, I was just in Iran, so like who are my guides? Former poachers. Like they know this area. So like it's poachers policing poachers is really what's happening here. But at the end of the day, it's working now because the price tag is so high and that village is entitled to that 80% of that tag. And so everybody is making the process work. And at the end of the day, the population's growing. If you look at the CITES research, in the late 90s, there were markhors, there's two types, there were 3,000. And in 2017, there were 12,000. So these programs are working, right? I mean, like the numbers speak for themselves, and you've got to pay attention to it because the numbers are growing.
That's right. And from my research, I see that markhor population, even with the sustainable harvest from hunters, is growing by 2% annually, which is fantastic. Yeah. Because the people are protecting their animals now,
Yep.
right? They have a value
Yep.
to them.
Yep.
And there's other animals that have benefited from this as well. Let's talk about snow leopard.
Well, the snow leopards are causing a problem. I've personally been on several hunts where snow leopards attacked an ibex in front of me. And you'll see fresh blood from ibex. So, there are some areas in Africa that have problems with leopards. Well, there are some areas in Asia that have problems with snow leopards. So I'm not sure how they're going to police it, but that's something, up to debate for wildlife conservation in those areas because it's becoming a problem. What they do is they start eating your livestock, right? And so what a farmer is going to do is he's going to poison that snow leopard. And so when you start poisoning leopards and cats, you run into other problems. And so no one wants poison on the farm. And so they've got to do something about it.
So what you're saying is in Pakistan, when a foreign hunter comes over and pays 100,000 plus, now I think the last tag for a markhor for Astor sold for $185,000, they celebrate the death of one old male goat, correct?
Yep.
So you're not there. You don't shoot any young,
Nope.
young, no females, right?
Nope.
I think it's 6 years in
10
prison.
10 years or older.
Yeah, 10 years or older, and their average lifespan is between 10 and 12 years. So you're taking the old Billy,
Right, out of the herd.
right.
Which he's going to probably not
Patriot.
make the next winter or two anyway.
That's right.
So, I mean, they say hunting can be wildlife conservation. That is exactly what we just defined. I mean, like, why not have $150,000 go to a village and a goat that's going to probably die the next winter or two? It's like, I call it wildlife conservation at its finest,
Right.
and it's working, and the herd's growing, and everybody's benefiting, And it's a beautiful country to visit if you haven't been there.
Oh, yeah. Have you had any pressure from the anti-hunting communities for going to hunt markhor?
Always. The story in 2019 when I hunted that Astor markhor, if you Google my name, you can read it. I didn't try to suppress it. I didn't try to do anything. My Instagram, Harlan Hunts, is public. My YouTube channel, Harlan Hunts, is public. All that died off after about 6 months. And about 12 months, people quit heckling me. But I went from private to public, because I thought it was a cool little experiment to see how quick it died, because everybody thought, oh my gosh, you can't be involved with us, like you're cancer. No, I'm not. It's like, some people are gonna, they have a voice, and it's easier to voice your opinion these days through social media, and they're gonna say what they want to say, and then it kind of dies off. And so it was a test, and it proved out to be very, very short-lived, thank gosh. But yeah, so you're always going to get that, I mean. But I'll tell you what, if you go into a village in Iran or Pakistan or Tajikistan, they praise you. It's the total opposite. And in Iran, like the people are in the village, they're farming. It's just like they're very hospitable. I mean, it's amazing how nice some of these people are when you get outside of the urban areas.
So the locals love you.
Yeah.
The American anti-hunters, try to destroy your life and family and career. So essentially that one markhor probably cost you millions if you really look at the grand scheme of things.
Well, I own a mortgage bank and we write a lot of home loans, and I had a lot of people saying, we're never going to come to your bank and get a home loan ever again. And realtors and builders saying, well, we're never going to do business with you. And I'm like, well, okay,
You have the best rates, so they come back.
Yeah.
So Bryan, it's a pleasure to sit up here on stage with you. Let's talk about another conservation initiative you're working on. You're involved in bison.
Yeah, so, like people always ask me what I like to hunt the most. I mean, I always say, or what hunt are you looking forward to? And it's always the next one. But I always talk about the markhor just because of the community-based hunting aspect, because I think that's the most powerful. But something that I live every day and something that I'm really showing you is that I farm bison, right? And so the greatest wildlife conservation in the history of North America is bison. And so we had millions of bison in 16, 17, 1800s. And in the late 1800s, we got down to nearly under 600 bison. And so there's over 20,000 bison in parks around the United States of America today. And there's several 100,000 under private stewardship, like myself. And so I have the Great Plains bison that you see all over, the brown ones, but I also have a herd of white ones. And I got compromised with a couple bulls the other day, and he didn't kill me, but he hurt me. So I'll live to fight another day, but you got to be careful around bison, and you're looking at living proof.
Bryan, I appreciate you coming out today.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.